Good evening everyone, I hope you are all doing well. Reporting live from Nürburgring. Well, by live I mean it is quite late, it's still 10 o'clock, I'm still shooting this video, I have to edit it, but I promised you to give you my take on Mercedes-AMG 1 lap record, and this is what we will be doing today because I promised you to. I will be doing sort of a live commentary of the lap, giving you some sort of my insights, my ideas, my opinions, I would say. But before we do that, massive shout out to today's sponsor of today's video. Wait, we don't have those. But since we're mentioning it, I think I can actually say a big thank you to Secret Labs for awesome chairs. And yeah, that's a magnetic pillow for me being able to sit in them and make videos and edit after the day of full driving. Anyway, to the point, before we're going to do live commentary, I want to give you a couple of important pointers, what I find important or peculiar about the lap. So, the first production spec car to go sub 6 minutes 30, 6 minutes 21. So hereby, massive congratulations to the whole of AMG team and Maro Engel, the driver, and someone I would like to call not good friend because we don't really hang out much, but we're very good with each other in the paddock, so someone that I really like and respect and admire, and we're very friendly with, so I like to be very specific. Second car that is having number 2 as of today is Porsche GT2 RS MR with 6 minutes 43 seconds, which was set in 2021, so they have beaten that time by 14 seconds, which is to be expected of a hypercar with Formula 1 technology, Formula 1 engine. And 2 years ago, AMG 1 already did 6 minutes 35, but the problem was the weather was quite bad, the track was wet and cold, and luckily Mercedes still announced or published that lap time, but a lot of people said like, oh, 6:35, I was expecting sub 6:30, and here they are today. And to put things in perspective, the major time gain now or time loss back then was in so-called, I like to call that corner illusion left, because if the bushes are growing high, you cannot look into the corner, and it's a very high-speed corner, and you have the illusion that it's a very tight corner, but you can actually take it flat. Now, back then, 2 years ago, the V minus, or like the minimum speed through there, was 210 kilometers per hour, because it was wet and you do not want to die. Now it was 274 kilometers per hour, which is quite insane and therefore also a major gain. There were a couple of sections, especially towards later, where the car gained a lot more speeds, that we will go through it later on, and I'm also confident that we are now speaking of 2 years since the previous time that Maro Engel has had a bit of more practice with the car. Also, Mercedes engineers most likely have done a bit of practice with the car and came up with a good setup to make the whole package to be faster. But regardless, again, massive respect to AMG for coming back and actually showing what the car can do in pretty much perfect conditions. So that is very good. Another shout out to Mercedes marketing team for the use of proper, let's say, anything else? Yes, well, speaking of the video, I would have appreciated a bit more data on what the car is actually doing. So when DRS is being engaged, in what way? Although you can see that the flaps on the fenders are going open, so you can see when the DRS mode is being activated. But the state of charge of the battery and what is doing to that. More data for the car nerds would have been nice. Maybe something for in the future. Now, a couple of other lap highlights that I have written down here that I would like to share with you. So, highlights when it comes to the speeds. And I will be mentioning not only AMG 1, but also some other cars. Yeah. The VMAX through Schwedenkreuz, 309 kilometers per hour, and the minimum is 244. 309 is a very impressive number, yes. The only other cars that are coming close to it, well, Tesla Model S, I've done over 300, I think, with that car, but again, that was not GPS speed, and I do not ever want to do it again with that particular car, with the Plaid, sorry. Vauxhall, that is where it gets actually very interesting. The bottom of Vauxhall, the car, the AMG one, in today's, or like in yesterday's published record in 2024 configuration, the car hit 287 kilometers per hour through the bottom, whereas 2 years ago it was doing only 279, and this has to do most likely not because we have new tarmac, but when you look at the video, now DRS was activated longer almost throughout the whole section, and only at the bottom it was deactivated and went through the maximum downforce, so the car would go through the bottom as fast as possible. Whereas before it was running the maximum downforce configuration, therefore it was having more drag, and this is kind of how this you almost lost 10 kilometers per hour through the bottom. Interesting to see. Now our favorite Vauxhall curb of 2024 puts things into perspective, because now the top speed next to the minimum speed or the speed next to the curb is 197 kilometers per hour, whereas 2 years ago was 212 over the curb. So 15 kilometers per hour you're losing in the new configuration, and possibly even more, because again, back then, 2 years ago, the conditions were wet and cold, so not the optimal grip, and quite sketchy, so maybe it would have gone even faster. So yeah, the new curb really sucks. Okay, fast forward, we already mentioned the dam spot of 2 years ago. Fast forward to Mutkurve. The minimum speed, that's where it gets interesting. We're gonna involve another car for a couple of corners. The minimum speed through Mutkurve is 196 kilometers per hour, whereas 992 GT3 RS is doing 209, 13 kilometers per hour, GPS based, faster for a GT3 RS. And there are actually couple of other corners where the minimum speed is significantly higher. We'll get to that later in a bit. In Brunchen, you start to notice that the car is getting understeer. This most likely has to do with the fact that the front tires are just getting tired. Tires getting tired, ha 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 ha. The front tires have to struggle a lot with the power and also with lots of downforce and lots of cornering. So probably this is where the understeer is coming from. But it's very noticeable that the apex of Brunchen 1 and subsequently Brunchen 2 is not as optimal as it could have been, so there is that. Through Flansgarden, there is an early upshift. I'm not sure if it was intentional, it could have been unintentional, and the minimum speed is also with 157 quite lower than of that 992 GT3 RS. To go to the fast final point on Döttingehöhe on the main straight, the top speed is 325 kilometers per hour, but 2 years ago it was 338 because the battery ran empty sooner now, and don't know why. Could have been temperature thing, because again 2 years ago it was colder, and also it didn't use the flat out through Kesselchen where it was wet, so that could be that. And again, this is why the extra data would have been interesting to see why it exactly has happened. We can now just speculate, but yeah, battery has a lot of influence on the top speed of the car, apparently. Yeah, in this case, 13 kilometers per hour difference. In both cases, the V minimum speed has actually dropped to 310 kilometers per hour before hitting the Tiergarten compression, and another massive gain through the bigger size of balls, probably in this case, or being used more to the car, is the minimum speed through the top of Tiergarten, 280 kilometers per hour versus 257 2 years ago. Now, before we're gonna go with the live thing, again, believe it or not, but car forums are still alive. And on German car forum, I love car forums. This is like the ultimate source of knowledge many years ago, and they are still alive because on germancarforum.com there is a thread about Mercedes-AMG 1, and someone did a very interesting table showing all the relevant cars, like the top speed cars, including also some of the sport auto lap times, where they incorporated the trap speed and also the average minimal speed. It shows that the GT3 RS of all the cars combined actually has the highest average minimal speed, 147 kilometers per hour, whereas even for the AMG 1 or GT2 RSMR are actually identical with 139. It shows again the crazy level of downforce that the GT3 RS has, and further below, actually more interesting, is that someone used that data and made a prediction of what the G992 gen of the GT2 RS would possibly do of a lap time, considering it would have the same downforce of a GT3 RS of a 992 gen and the same power or higher of the regular GT2 RS with additional 200 horsepower and more torque. They speculate that that car would do roughly 6 minutes 32 and a half seconds, which would be faster than the previous lap time of AMG 1. Therefore, this might have pushed AMG to go out there as well. But I sincerely believe that AMG really went out to just show what the car can do. And everyone deserves to see what the car can do. But yes, the GT2 RS might be quite an insane monster. Anyway, do you want me to walk you through the lap? Because I promised you in this video to walk you through the lap. So, the car is accelerating towards Sabine Schmidt's curve. More interestingly is that fantastic scenery. We have beautiful sunset, and then it goes towards Hatzenbach. The minimum speed through here is about 182, 180 kilometers per hour. Usually the cars do around 160 through there, so we can see the downforce in full effect. Now, Hatzenbach is of course a section where it's more about agility, not as much about the horsepower, before you go towards Hochheichen and then flooring it towards Flugplatz. So high acceleration from 150 kilometers per hour towards way above 250, so 270 is barely not being ticked. The car goes in downforce mode and the minimum speed is 200 kilometers per hour, which is, I believe, again lower than a GT3 RS slightly. Flat out, DRS engaged going towards Schwedenkreuz, where you hit 308 kilometers per hour, 309 GPS speed, maximum downforce, turn in, everything is good through here, not much to say. I don't know why I'm wearing this, because noise cancelling, and it deactivates since I am talking to you. Anyway, again, flat out DRS through Foxhole towards nearly 300 kilometers per hour through there. 288 is briefly touched, and then turning in, avoiding the ugly curb, and then going to Adenau Forst, while the maximum downforce is still being fully engaged. Okay, we go in, DRS, open, yep, there we go. Acceleration full on towards Metzgersfeld. Of course, still very impressive, engaging or deactivating the RS for more downforce through it, and yeah, 180 kilometers per hour through there is again very fast, because usually you're running about 160 in a normal sports car. Kallenhardt, not much to be said. The car is constantly still in maximum downforce mode. Through here, Maro is more lifting, even towards miss hit miss, so no braking through there, just a gentle lift. It seems maybe just a small tap on the brake pedal, and then going hard on the brakes, of course, to Verzyfen, still in the maximum downforce. So would DRS be activated now for the descent for Breitscheid? Yep, so maximum descent, going downhill to the lowest section of the track of Breitscheid, turning in, and then the ascent starts, the climb. Climbing, flat out, DRS. Now it gets interesting. So it's full on the gas, But now before louder links, DRS is being closed, so this means that actually it goes in the maximum downforce, so you can go through the corner towards Bergwerk, and then starts again one of the most important sections for fast lap times, because this is where you need to have a very good corner exit through Bergwerk and going flat out. The DRS is still being activated, and I know why, sorry, deactivated. I know why, because speeds of 270 kilometers per hour through there, you do want to have the car planted while you're doing a quadruple left-hander. 270 kilometers per hour, then dropping slightly before approaching Mood Curve. The speed is dropping to 196 V minimum, and then going on the gas again. This small section, yeah, DRS could have been used, but I don't think so. I think it's more important to keep the car planted. On the brakes, going into Startstrecke. Yeah, small slide through there. On the gas, could have used DRS through here. Maybe gained, could have, should have gained something. I don't know how much, but it's still, the car is still running maximum downforce. Carousel, okay, DRS, going on the gas, open, yeah, for the turn in with just a gentle lift. On the brakes through here, slowing down, turning in, and then again we are approaching the whole act, the highest, second highest section of the track, and then turning in. Now, is DRS being used here? No, but actually it's a very short section, going through Wipperman, taking the curb, of course, avoiding the left curb, going over the right curb. On the brakes towards Eschbach, and brakes, that's where the car will start understeering, so this one, the first curb, is still okay. On the brakes, and then missing the apex of this one and running very wide on the left. And now on the brakes again, and also slightly missing this one, could have been a bit more closer to the right, but not going too wide to the left in Brunchen 2. Ice curve, flat on the gas, taking the curb. Will it engage DRS? No, still flat through here. Okay, that's actually, yeah, I think it's more beneficial because you're lots of through the corners. As mentioned here, weird upshift, intentional or unintentional, I don't know. I sometimes like to go upshift through there as well, because you have lots of bumps and jumps, and you really do not want to upset the rear, upset the car. Flat, this could have been definitely a DRS section, could have won maybe a couple of kilometers per hour through there. But didn't use it, and then going towards mini carousel or Schwalbenschwanz on the brakes, turning in, going into the mini carousel, flat on the gas. Would there be any DRS? No, but I think, yeah, I don't know how beneficial it would have been. I'm sure they've done plenty of laps and they know what they are doing more than I do, but yeah, this was already sub 630, so nothing to say. Again, engaging DRS mode on the main straight, the car climbs towards 300 plus kilometers per hour. Fantastic sunset, so this was an evening lap, 325 kilometers per hour, and then the speed starts dropping because the car ran out of battery. It drops towards 310, even below, nope, 310. Ah no, it is slightly below due to the cornering. Maximum DRS mode, keeping it still quite coasting, gently releasing the brakes, the throttle, going on the brakes into Hohenrhein chicane, and on the brakes through T13, and the car does 6 minutes 29.09 seconds. And a big celebratory yes, absolutely, I would have done the same. That's about it. So that's all I had to say. Conclusion, freaking fast, very well deserved. Very happy that AMG team came back and showed us what the car can do. What's next? Of course, now comes the speculation part. What is next? For this car, the exercise, I think, is over. There is not much to gain out of it. Maybe somewhere half a second or a second combined if you get rid of understeer, if you have maybe better battery performance in whichever way possible in this upshift. So maybe a second. Is it necessary? I do not think so. Now comes, of course, the speculation. What are the alternatives? Or like, what are the competitors? Valkyrie? I don't think Valkyrie will ever hit the Nürburgring. I think it's even... Well, first of all, let's talk about the fact that Aston Martin is not doing the Nürburgring arms race, I would say. They do not really do that because the problem, once you get into it, you need to keep playing that game. I also am not sure if the car is well suited. I think it might be too low, and you would need to have a lot more clearance. So there would be a lot of setup work going on for that car to do it, but speculation. So I do not think that Valkyrie will do it. I know personally that there's an offer on the table for someone to do lap time from a private collector. So we might see something, but it will be not an official Aston Martin attempt. What else do we have? We have, of course, the new generation of hypercars, but let's not talk about those yet. Of course, the most interesting thing will be the upcoming 992 GT2 RS. Many of you are going to ask, what about a GT3 RS MR? It will be even more faster with the minimum corner speeds through there, and we can see probably then that actual GT2 RS MR, based on the calculations of that, might go faster than this or just as fast. But for that we would have to wait, I think, another 2 or 3 years. And by then we might have another hypercar among us. And hopefully we're gonna have some sort of a black series of a more street car from AMG coming towards us. Anyway, it's still a cool time to be alive as a petrolhead among all the nonsense as well that we have to deal with. So it's cool. I'm really happy. Still need to see what a proper K-swap can do on the track. But for that, stay tuned, subscribe, like, and share, subscribe to this channel or the other one. Anyway, I need to edit this video. I hope you guys enjoyed a bit of rambling about lap records, a bit old school. And if you like it, give it a like, let me know in the comments, because we might do more of these. Because these videos are quite easy to make, and that's what the second channel is for. But maybe I put too much thought into it. Alright, thanks, and see you tomorrow on the track, and etc. Green Hill driving days. Woo! Bye.